Good afternoon. So very happy to be here today, and thanks for Social Football Summit for inviting me and this extraordinary panel people here. So today we talk about ESG governance because it's becoming increasingly crucial for the club and for the football sector, obviously. And so we would like to see where the clubs stand today about this topic. If it is, let's say, a regulatory constraint, or it is an opportunity for the business. So in this panel, we will explore how good ESG governance can make a difference in the business. So maybe we can start with Rocio. Okay. So Rocio, I see that in your let's say, structure of the club, you have a formal ESG governance model. Quite structured. There is a compliance management system. There is a lot of role and responsibility connected to the governance. So what does ESG governance mean for the Atlético today, and how is implemented operational in the club today?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. Thank you all for being here today, listening to this amazing panel that we have here. Well, answering to your question, ESG governance really is the pillar to ensure that we run our business, not only the sport part, but also the operational one, in a transparent, ethical, and sustainable way. And by sustainability here, I mean not only taking no care of making money. Now, of course, we are companies in our case, and we want to ensure that we last long and make money, but that we integrate environmental and social issues in the decisions that we make, not related to the business operations. Well, we have organized our ESG governance in different levels. First of all, through a sustainability committee where all the different areas of the club are seated. And this has been really important. No, this really made a change because people, and I tend always to say, I think that one day my role will disappear, no, because I will be just only coordinating the work that others are doing. Because sustainability has to be something that is run really by the different areas, and they are the ones taking care, no, of integrating this vision of the social and environmental impact in everything they do. And I started to see that this is really happening, so I think the model is quite working. The second level is through different policies and procedures that are publicly available for not only the employees, but also our fans or everyone who wants to check them on our website. That's important because we are making publicly our commitments, our goals. How do we want to integrate these parts, these issues in the business? So I think that really this is all connected to the top management as well, that I think that it's the third key thing to ensure a proper and productive ESG governance.
Oh, thank you, Rocio. Let's see another, let's say, way to talking about the governance. Let's see Chelsea Foundation. Chelsea Foundation with Laura. I read your strategy, the 2025-2030 strategy of the foundation. I see a lot of engagement with the local community in order to create a positive impact. So let's again ask you, what does it mean ESG governance for a foundation like Chelsea today?
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for having me this afternoon. Hopefully in more than I can do it in words, I'm going to play a short video to give everyone a little snippet of the work that we do in the foundation.
Yep.
We know a thing or two about support. We felt it for 120 years. From the bridge to Kings Meadow and Cobham, we've learnt from the best. But support goes both ways, and we're looking out for our communities, the characters in it. Because the badge might be our heart, but this city is our soul. A city built on differences and stronger for it, where people are dreaming of a brighter future, feeling better physically and mentally. A society that treats us all equally, that supports them like you support us. We're proud to call this home, and everyone is welcome. Chelsea Foundation, where pride in our club becomes impact in our community.
So hopefully that was a bit of a snapshot.
Beautiful.
Thank you. We've been on a journey in the last year at Chelsea where we really look to try and put the work of the foundation as the heart of the purpose of the club. So really, how do we show up for our supporters? How do we show up for our community in a really meaningful way? And we've really challenged ourselves on that, and we've really challenged ourselves to be impact first. And so what that did, essentially, we had a really big inward look and said, actually, what are we doing well? What could we be doing differently? And essentially, we'd got very thin strategically. We'd said yes to lots of things. And we had a real pause and said, well, actually, if we look at the power of the club, the pride that we have in the club and that badge, the power of our foundation and our supporters, where can we find that sweet spot in the middle where we're greater than the sum of our parts? And in doing that, we had a real look within our local community and say, what are the issues that the people in our local community are facing? And there are many, there are a multitude, but where are the ones that we feel like we're best placed to support? And where are we best partnering with others to try and achieve that? And so that led us to our three core themes around physical and mental well-being, community in terms of uniting communities together, and then young people's futures. And to give you an example, when we really drill down into the data and the evidence, some of you may have been to Chelsea Football Club before, there's a bit of a misperception that it's a very, very affluent area. There are pockets of affluence, but there are also huge pockets of poverty. And so even in Chelsea, the borough is very small. It's, a few miles. If you take a bus from the south to the north, your life expectancy drops by 19 years in this case of like 3 or 4 miles. And so for us, it was a big education piece within the club to say, if we're going to help any communities, the communities we need to support are those that are further away from society, further away from getting access to some of the things that they need. And one of the things we know that football and sport can do in spades is unite and bring people together. And using the badge of Chelsea, using everything we can do, we've effectively set ourselves some real clear targets across those 3 areas. And we developed that very much in partnership with the club. So it was a strategy born together. Everything we do in that purpose space will be through that lens, and very much focused around our footprint around Southwest London and Surrey.
Oh, thank you, Laura. That's fantastic. I mean, the social impact that you generate with the foundation is extremely important because it's one of the sides of the sustainability, obviously. And Thom, let's talk about the other side, one of the other side of sustainability, environmental part. I see your report, the report of the club, the last one, and should be also interesting to see how the ESG matters could be managed and the governance of this and through the environmental side. Let us know more about that.
Yes, thank you very much. So I operate as an independent consultant and offering strategic advice and sustainability expertise. So Wolves is a main client of mine. I've been running the sustainability program at Wolves for the last 3 seasons. The program is called One Pack, One Planet, so it ties into that club identity. One Pack is all about the wolf pack and the fact that everybody needs to contribute to this collective issue that we all face. One Pack, One Planet is primarily an environmental program. It touches on commitments around carbon and climate, waste, nature, and culture. I think how it's enacted. So my role is that central coordination, that expert, that advisor to pull things together. But we have those 2 really important sides of, firstly, the top level buy-in, the senior sponsorship of sustainability at Wolves, and that's shown through it's mainly the work is done under the facilities directorate, and I think that's a reasonably common approach because a lot of environmental sustainability stems from energy efficiency, although that's clearly not the only area that it touches. The director of football operations at Wolves is the senior sponsor for environmental sustainability, so a really clear demonstration to everybody in the club and around the club that it's something that is a real strategic priority. And we also have the Wolves chairman taking an external role, as an example, in the environmental report that we've now published for the last 2 years. The foreword is from the chairman, so underlining the commitment from the club and the ongoing commitment to continue to address the club's environmental impact. But the other side, aside from that senior executive level sponsorship of the program, is the truth is that sustainability is everybody's role, and it means something very different for every department across the club. So how can different departments across the club contribute to sustainability, whether you're an operations team, a media team, retail, catering, HR, all of these different departments, sustainability means something very different, and an important part of my job is bringing all of those different representatives together, working through how sustainability can be embedded into the great work that they already do, and convening a central sustainability working group so that group can share ideas and open opportunities for collaboration. So that's effectively how we are delivering sustainability at Wolves.
Oh, thank you, Thom. So we see social and environment topic specifically from Chelsea, also Wolves before with Atlético. Greta, maybe for Juventus it's a little bit different because Juventus is quoted in the Euronext Milan stock market. So you know, the club had developed a very comprehensive governance model required by law, obviously, but I think also by history for a long time. So again, what is meaning the ESG governance for Juventus today, also considering the last report that you just published a few days ago?
Grazie. What it means, I mean, I don't want to say all the beautiful things my colleagues already said, but maybe a couple of things we try to do a bit differently. So number one is that our senior sponsor, I think Thom called it like this, is the board. Whether it's the board directly, so like it's going to be for the next 3 years, or before we used to have a board committee. But in any case, the board is the senior sponsor of anything we do from an ESG standpoint. And this isn't linked only to the fact that we are listed, it's linked because this is really something the company deeply cares about. There are a few other layers that my colleagues already mentioned, but two I wanted to mention in particular are we worked this season, over the past season in this one, with all the teams across the organizations that have an impact on the ESG side, and each of them, we guided them, but each of them built their own objectives on ESG. So on one end, we have a senior sponsor, and on the other end, we have teams who can have an impact on the ESG, who are building their own objectives. And the last, but certainly not the least layer we have is we created a committee that is called the Impact Hub, where people voluntarily raise their hand in saying, okay, we want to be part of this committee because we as individuals, we have in our set of values near and dear to our heart a contribution to ESG. And that team is probably the one, and I'm saying it with a smile on my face, that is making the biggest difference, because when it comes from people, it usually makes the difference. The people side is the honor that I have since 3 years. So we moved from a classic communication ESG environment to ESG being part of the people and culture team, so as part of my team. And it's something I would advise any organization on the planet with no arrogance, but it's probably one of the best moves we ever made, because when it comes, if sustainability is driven by people, then we can probably make an even bigger difference. Last but not least, when it comes to governance, we have 2 incentive schemes for people who work at Juve. One is on a short-term incentive scheme for employees. The other one is for top management, is a long-term incentive schemes. And in both schemes, from a governance standpoint, ESG is one of the 3 pillars on which people will receive money. So we think that this is also very important to link our ESG objectives to the payout at the end of the day of people and senior managers.
Thank you, Greta. So we have seen, this is just the first round of question about giving an overview of ESG governance in the club that we have today. The second round of questions should be, starting again with Rocio, is talking about the value chain. You know that ESG governance is so extremely important for the own operation, but more and more in the value chain, overall. So I see that in the ESG report that you developed, there is let's say, clearly state that identify and mitigate ESG risk within value chain. So with human rights policy, compliance office responsible, and so on, so on. So can you let us know a little bit more about that, how you manage, the club manage this kind of a topic in the value chain?
Yeah, really work in the value chain, we have realized is really important. No, we are impacted by many ESG risks. Some are very clear and have a very clear impact on the business. Let's talk about, for example, the climate-related ones. We have suffered floods in the stadium, and we have realized it has a cost. So now we have the direct capacity to work on that, adapt our infrastructure to that. But the risk related to the value chain, we have no direct management on them. No, that can be really risky. No, so that's why we have decided to set a focus on that and really build upon collaboration with our suppliers. We have conducted a double materiality assessment. At least to us, it was on a voluntary basis, but it was a very helpful exercise. No, we have identified our main stakeholders, and together with them, we have mapped all our value chain. Now we know what we do, no? But now we have a clear picture of what can be the impact, the risk, but also the opportunities with the entire value chain. So based on that, we have identified the top suppliers to start working with, because in fact, we need to think of them really as part of the club as well. No, almost 2,000 people work in every match, and they are external. So having the numbers, and in the panel before they talk about data management, and so gives you a better idea on what your business really, how it is organized. So we have realized they are very important. They are really part of our activities, and we have to take care of what is happening with them. So one of the examples that you asked me for is that we are starting to work with our catering supplier, not only because we have a regulation in Spain that we have to develop a food waste management plan that applies for the catering service, but also for the venues. So we both have responsibility on that. So of course we have sat together and started to work on that, but based on that, we have started to build up a different relationship. Now we are considering, I don't know, maybe giving training sessions to their employees on recycling, on human rights, for example. We are extending the collaboration beyond the contract, because we think it's really important to cover these risks that we have identified, and really to build long-term relationships. No, we want to work together in this different way, not like if they are really partners. And this is something that we are starting to work as well with our sponsors. Trying to go beyond the typical sponsorship contract and relationship, and it's going beyond this sport part. That it's also related to the business and this risk management.
Thank you, Rocio. Let's say also because often the majority of impact in the value chain. No, if you see the GHG or CO2, scope 3 is quite relevant. But talking about the value chain for Chelsea, I think in the value chain we're talking about community. It's a part of a value chain. It's clear that you receive a mandate from Chelsea Football Club to manage the social topics. How is dealing with, which is the relationship with the Chelsea Football Club? How do they deploy that connected to the community that is a part of value chain?
Yes, so I think we're fortunate at Chelsea in terms of our governance structure. So the foundation is an independent charity, so we have our own governance, and then we have the club that has its own sort of governance and board of directors. So our chair also is a director of the club, main club, and my role sits on what's called the Business Management Committee at the club, so alongside the club chief exec, the women's chief exec of the foundation, some of the senior leads. And so that really helps determine the strategy and where we see the value in terms of the impact that we want to have in the local communities. And to give an example of kind of, I guess, where we hold ourselves really strongly on that. So we have a partnership with the Premier League that's called KICS programme, and that programme is very much around supporting young people in the community in very disadvantaged parts of sort of London, around where Chelsea is. And that programme is amazing because it brings young people together. And if you think about our 3 strategic strands around well-being, community and futures, it supports young people with their physical and mental well-being, and we have that very documented. It supports young people with futures because there's a huge element of that programme that supports young people to think about what they want to do next, to get them involved in social action, and we do loads of things around social action with the young people, whether that be through climate change, through things we do with helping the elderly. But one of the amazing byproducts of that programme from a community and inclusion perspective is that in bringing young people together from those elements of the community, we've reduced crime and antisocial behaviour in key parts of London. Now that's almost it's a byproduct of the programme, because the programme was around bringing young people together, giving them positive things to do, supporting their well-being. But from speaking to the Metropolitan Police, one of the big things that they demonstrate as part of that is that antisocial behaviour is reduced as an element of that programme, because the club has built trust. It's built trust with the local community. The police actually come along and attend those sessions, so they now have a relationship with those young people. And when we think then about the value add from a club perspective in the local community, our local MPs, our local politicians, our local councillors can actually tangibly see the difference that we're making. It's a visible presence in the local community for young people. And just building that trust goes such a long way in terms of impact. And so I think it's a good example of where you can have a primary objective around well-being, but that secondary objective of almost an amazing social byproduct around improving crime rates is a wonderful example.
Fantastic, fantastic. Just try to speed up a little bit because we are timing. And Thom, regarding stays on the environmental side, I understood that you have the club, Wolvers, have a program, partnership program to engage in some way your partner in the value chain. How is work? How is dealing with?
Yeah, I think firstly I wanted just to make the point that partnerships are so vitally important in this space, and that's because if you think about some of the main, say, carbon impacts in football, you would say transport, sportswear, and food and drink, maybe as a usual top 3. Football cannot solve those problems. It can't come up with the solutions in isolation that will deliver net zero transport, net zero catering. So clearly, working in collaboration, the role that football has is to work in partnership, create the demand, and invite the innovation to become part of the football experience and into the football industry. So working in partnership with those industries is the only way that we all collectively reach net zero and achieve a more sustainable game. Some examples of that in practice at Wolves, I think a key one is our catering partner, Levy. Levy's business model is sustainability is absolutely central to it, and they have extremely ambitious net zero targets. Effectively, it's decarbonizing food, right? Minimizing the carbon footprint of the food, which means local supply chains. It means reducing meat. It means finding different products that help to reduce the environmental footprint, and then making them available to fulfill requirements of a football club, concourses, hospitality. A really interesting example of that partnership in practice is that the Wolves Foundation, so the charitable side of Wolves, they run an allotment, so they grow food on their land, and they do that mainly as a well-being initiative. So volunteers are welcome to use it as a community building and a way to meet new people. But that activity does also create food produce, and that produce is now in the supply chain directly providing food for hospitality menus at the football matches. So such a good example of partnership working and why it's so important, and how football is reliant on other industries to provide those solutions that can make a real difference to the matchday experience.
Thank you, Thom. Greta, let's consider your business model and governance. You're talking about the positive impact hub. You have 12 people, right, on board. How that people can make an impact also in the value chain, or in any case, in which way maybe can stimulate the positive impact?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for having me as a fourth speaker, because just relating to these three great people is fantastic. Everything is easier. Grazie.
I made for you that.
Bravo. Thank you.
I mean,
thank you. Much appreciated.
we are in Juventus Stadium, so why not?
Thank you for the kindness. Maybe just going back quickly to what Thom said on the partnership side, and I couldn't agree with him more. If I think about a pilot project we did last year together with Allianz, which I thank you, on the mobility of our fans, so making sure that our fans under 30 could travel for free to the stadium in the city of Turin. We did this as a pilot because it's quite complex for people working in Italy in this room. You guys know that it's not easy as it may sound, so partnership with Allianz, partnership with local institutions, partnership with local transportations. All these people, it takes a lot of strength, patience and collaboration to get to that. So last year for 2 matches we were able to do this free transportation for our fans under 30, and it was great in terms of collaboration and results as well, because we could do it. So hopefully we can do it again. If I look at the positive impact hub and the collaboration with the people and culture team, one of the things that comes to my mind is, as an example, the physical and mental well-being. That is a pillar in our people and culture strategy, and the people in the hub, they love to contribute to that. We have a club sport program where all our employees can attend different classes, gym classes, yoga classes, and so forth and so on. The same people, they contribute to building what we call team strengths. So our mental well-being program together with our psychological area. So we did one last year, we're gonna do it again this year. And these are the things that we just love to hear the feedback from that hub and help us to improve them even more.
Thank you. So the last round of question is, again, starting from Rocio. I want to touch point on the, let's say, sustainability regulation. We are seeing today is there is a kind of not clear situation regarding, let's say, CSRD, for example, but not only. But specifically for the football, we have the UEFA vision and strategy, and we have the UEFA club licensing that from this season today became an obligation from for the club to let's say apply the environmental social requirements. So how Valencia states and be aligned on this? So from UEFA strategy and vision to club licensing, which way you implemented it? Which is your experience about that?
I have to say that in our case, we have been very lucky because the regulation applied to us right from the beginning, not for being a listed club, but because in Spain they decided to go really beyond the regulation, what it was stated by the EU Parliament, and it was mandatory to us right from the beginning. So it was quite funny. Somebody told me, I was not there at that time, but the auditors came, where's your non-financial reporting? We need to close our financial statements, and they said, what are you talking about? So someone started to run around the staff in the different departments collecting information, and our first report was 12, 14 pages. Nowadays it's 140. So really to us, it has demonstrated an evolution and a very helpful tool for ESG governance. So I understand that not all the clubs, no, we are under the same regulation or under the same situation. So the support from organizations like UEFA, making this mandatory and really pushing it, no, outside the official regulatory channels, let's say, I think it's really, really very useful. We are part of the global economic ecosystem. We are an industry that is evolving and getting more and more important, not only in our single countries, but worldwide. And we are impacted by the same challenges, no, as other industries do. Of course, it's climate change, but also it's human rights protection and accessibility. No, there's quite a lot. So we have to really integrate that in our business. Otherwise, we won't be sustainable. And by sustainable, I mean really lasting long. No, we are a football club with 120 years of history, and we want to last at least 120 years more. And definitely by integrating sustainability in our management decision process, this is going to happen.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's important integration because we have so many regulation requirements that you need to combine in a holistic approach, otherwise became crazy. Laura, a completely different topic is about data management. So how is important the data in your business, in your role regarding the leading the foundation, how you use it, and there is any digital platform that you use or, Yeah,
look, data is kind of our base for everything. It's at the center of what we do, because we'll be nothing without understanding, first and foremost. I spoke about it from the strategy side of things. We use data, we leaned on a lot of government data, a lot of local data to really understand what are the local challenges, what are things telling us. And we got rid of a line that people used to say, which is, I think. And it's actually, I think's great, but only if you can back it up with some data. So that's really important. And then coming out the other side, really making sure that our monitoring and our evaluation is super tight, and finding national or global benchmarks that we can then hold ourselves accountable to. So we use Salesforce as a platform. They're not paying me to say that, by the way. And one of the things, to give you an example, there's a national government survey that's done via Sport England, which looks after all physical activity. It's called Active Lives Survey, and they release their methodology for that. So we can literally look at the beneath the scenes of what that looks like. We can take that and we can then apply that to anything we look at in terms of physical well-being. So if we take one of our programs around walking football, which supports more elderly people in the community to maintain active lifestyles, we can literally benchmark them against national data of people of a similar age in a similar location and demonstrate that the work we're doing is having a meaningful impact in terms of their physical literacy, their physical and mental well-being. That then gives us another level of credibility when we're talking to supporters, funders, potential corporate partners that want to engage with us. And so that for us is really important in terms of that life cycle of how you tell the story and how you can be certain about the impact.
Thank you, Laura. And the same question for you, Thom. How Wolves, let's say, manage data? Do you have a digital platform? If yes, why you have it? Which are the benefits to do this? Do you have any experience to share?
Yeah, as of this season, the Premier League has one of its environmental requirements for clubs is to report on a full scope 1, 2, 3 greenhouse gas inventory. We've been doing, clubs are at different levels of maturity on that. We've been doing it for the last 2 years and slowly increasing the amount of the scope 3 that we're covering through the methodology and
with
through
the partnership program,
data availability, including with our partners. Yeah, it's still a very manual process of taking data from lots of different places and asking for data for the first time ever from certain suppliers and certain parts of the business. So clearly, I think so much of the conversation over today and tomorrow will be about data, and sustainability is no different. I think one particular learning that I'd share is that we established a fan focus group for environmental sustainability to specifically hold us to account and have something to a group of fans, because football has a very unique stakeholder, which is the fans of the club, right? So we want to make sure that while we are reporting our carbon data in a robust way that aligns with best practice, we also want to do it in a way that actually engages fans, that fans can interpret and understand and take value from. In our first annual report, we shared it with this group and said, you know, what do you think? What should we be including? And we had included data, carbon data around men's first team travel, which is a quite, it comes under a lot of media scrutiny, like short flights and carbon intensive ways of traveling sometimes. The fans simply asked, like, can you just tell us how the team got to games, how many times you flew, how many times you took a coach, took a train. So we now include this data. It was the same data that we had before, but we're just presenting it in a way that fans can engage with, as well as understanding the carbon footprint associated with it. So I think that's football club's unique opportunity, is to report carbon and greenhouse gases, but in a way that really gives fans some information that they can engage with and help to empower them as citizens to understand this issue and the challenges that we face.
Thank you, Thom. Yeah, for sure. I completely agree with you that ESG data and management of data is not anymore just for the club, but is a way and tool for engage the stakeholder, principally the fan. So we have less than 2 minutes, Greta, unfortunately, but it's difficult to say in a short time which is your ESG journey experience, because you have just published the report, the sustainability report based on the SRS. So can just give you a flavor of that efforts and opportunity.
Just in few words, the CSRD and the sustainability report we just published, I think collecting data has been our nightmare, but the data we collected is our strength today. I really feel we've got some sleepless nights to get there. It wasn't easy. It was actually very, very difficult because we probably weren't ready for this first ever CSRD report. We are very happy that we have it now because this represents our commitment, black and white, on what we are today, and setting objectives from now on will be very, very different if we think about environment, but also social and governance in comparison to the past, because now data is talking, and from there on we can build it in a clear way, which is why I was saying this is going to be now our real commitment.
So we are perfectly on time. So thank you again, Rocio, Laura, Greta, and Thom for being part of this panel. For me, it was a pleasure, and see you soon. Bye-bye.